Meeting to order. Everybody get a chance to look over the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, sir. All motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Financial report, everything's in the packet, if there's any questions. Not.
Move to approve.
Yeah. We have all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next up will be coordinator's report with Ian.
Yes,
There he is.
here we go. So, I've started doing business visits this month. Started mostly on Main Street there. About 4 businesses I've visited so far. Really, I'm just out there introducing myself, explaining what my job is, and then I have a little form to give out that has all of our EDA programs going on as well. So I think it's a pretty good opportunity, and I've really enjoyed it so far. Hopefully I'll get out to doing that more regularly going forward. Let's see. We've got our very first business spotlight to give out to KM Telecom today here at our meeting, as well as an offer to purchase both of our downtown lots. And let's see. Then we've got the crop science investigation revolving loan fund request. I have received a document from Marty Walsh of Peoples just to, confirm and verify all the loan information. That's included in your packets here today. And then I'll also be giving an update on the Quick Trip North project and also my conference that I'll be going to later this week. And then, aside from that, with our Chaotic Good Brewing Company, I haven't had any other updates from Diane Lewis at Smith. I know I had a conversation with her and Laura Qualey of Dodge County EDA just a couple weeks ago, but at that time there were no other updates, so still waiting at this point. And then 1760 Millworks, I've talked it over with Joe Lonzo, and he let me know that they're hoping to be operational by the 19th of this month. So, and then I can certainly invite him to come to their next meeting in October just to give us an update as well.
All right. Well, thank you. Next, we have our city administrator report, which is included in the packet.
I don't have a lot of extra to add, just let you know that budgets are the big topic, so the next 2 weeks we'll be doing budgets with city council. Other than that, you've got the items in there. Hoping to wrap up that library project here pretty soon, so.
Okay, then up next will be our business spotlight with KM Telecom.
Yes. Got them out.
All right, well, first off, thank you for choosing us as the first spot in your business spotlight, and we really appreciate it. We don't take it lightly. We actually do appreciate the community feedback, and, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you. Just a little background first. I'm John Emke. I'm a marketing coordinator at KM Telecom. Been there for a little over a year now. Kind of do a lot of different stuff with KM Telecom, so not strictly marketing, but that's just my official title as of now. So, to start us off, for those that aren't super familiar with KM Telecom, started back in 1901 right here in Casson. It's my great-great-grandfather, Herman, Howard, John, and then presently it's Beth Paulson and Mary Emke. So that was the first building we started back in. It was on a little balcony in what I know is the old variety store, which is now, I think, the dance studio. So just a little single switchboard way back in the balcony, way back then. Upgraded to a building which has been demolished. It's our spot right now on 18th Ave. And then in 2006, we got our main front lobby. And I think in the 80s, we actually got kind of the Hy-Vee side of things. So I just have a good picture of that. So as of today, that's our service area right there. We have 24 full-time employees as of today. We serve over 180 square miles. We have 3,500 internet customers, 1,100 TV customers, about 2,900 traditional telephone customers. This is like our old analog lines with residential people. And what we're trying to improve upon more is our hosted PBX, so kind of our business lines, stuff like that, VoIP. And as you can see on the map, yellow is pretty much where all of our fiber has been deployed, and orange is still where we have our old copper facilities. Our goal, and it kind of ties in my next slide, is to get all those yellow, or basically get all those covered in fiber. So, leads me to my goals, which basically our number one priority going forward is just fiber expansion. You know, we got to get, especially the copper facilities, we got to get those turned over to fiber, get them on higher speeds. I mean, especially in the rural areas, that's super important right now. They have just not much for connectivity out there. I mean, you get your fixed wireless and things like that, but it's not reliable. Fiber is, time and time again, been proven to be like the best technology for this. The problem, though, is building fiber out to these rural areas is very expensive, especially when you take into account the amount of expense that goes into these projects and just how kind of small the population density really is out there. It gets to be just kind of uneconomical. It doesn't make sense for a lot of service providers. But luckily, the Minnesota Border-to-Border Broadband Development Grant Program, that's been, I think, since 2014, been a big thing for many providers in Minnesota. It provides the financial resources needed to expand broadband service to unserved areas, specifically areas with speeds less than 25 download and 3 upload in megabits, which is not much when you consider, you know, the average now for fiber is probably like 70 over 70. So, not much out there for service. It's historically been funded with state general fund revenues, but this year is actually kind of an unprecedented year. We've had $70 million from federal funding put into this grant program, so there's a total of $95 million available to Minnesota providers this year. We expect, there's just been a really big push, and I'm sure you guys are aware, with infrastructure acts and the federal thing, and a lot of that has been pushed to broadband. So we hope to get more of those projects underway, but for this year's grant program, we applied to 2. First one is our Rockdale Southeast Fiber Build. Kind of hard to see, but it's basically 87 miles of fiber, 264 potential customers. We're going to offer speeds up to 1 gig, and if awarded, construction starts next spring. So, just to give you an idea, Rockdale proper is right there. Rochester International Airport's over there, so kind of southeast region. Next. Second project is Rockdale Adjacent East Fiber Build. Kind of a mouthful of names for projects, but it is what it is. It's basically directly east of that previous build that we're applying for. And we say adjacent because we are not gonna, we hope we don't win the award for this particular area unless we win that first one. Just because it wouldn't make sense, we'd have to drag fiber through a copper area and just directly towards that adjacent side, which just doesn't make sense from a financial standpoint. So hopefully we win that first round, get the second one, and get started on that. But this particular build, if awarded, would be 73 miles of fiber, 208 potential customers, 1 gig speeds again, and construction will start in spring of 2024 for this one. And just circling back to kind of our community involvement, donations, we're really big on donations. We donated over $100,000 towards community projects or community organizations in 2021 alone. That trend is continuing. It's been continuing for a while, so hope to keep that up. And a lot of that comes from the Rochester Area Foundation. I don't know if too many people are familiar with that, but we kind of, what I've been told is we won the lottery. We had stocks in Midwest Wireless back in 2006, which ended up selling, and we put a lot of those funds that we got from those stocks into this foundation. So what this does is, it's kind of a perpetuity, in a sense. I'm not super familiar how it works, but what I've been told is the funds that are in there are going to be in there regardless of what happens to KM Telecom. So, you know, God forbid something awful happens, we're not around here anymore, or just disaster strikes, whatever. The funds will still be there. We'll still be kind of third-party contributor to community stuff, which we are proud of. And just some other things too. KM Telecom Stadium, that was back in 2011. We partnered with the schools to renovate their competition field. We're an active community member. We have representation within some community organizations. Jen, she's on the Chamber of Commerce. I think Mary's been on the EDA before in the past. Things like that. And we're actively participating in community-driven events, you know, whether that be parades, you know, business events on Main Street. I know you do a lot of those too, so. And, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, we're just your local service provider. That's kind of our biggest feature and, you know, our biggest competitive advantage. Our employees are your neighbors, your friends, and your family. You know, you're not calling somebody in New York to get your TV on or your phone line fixed, you know, we're right there, we can talk to you, we know who you are, we know the area, and it's really just kind of our bread and butter. So yeah, short and sweet, but thank you again from everyone who came to Telecom for the Business Spotlight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, any questions? or anything?
Question, are you guys looking at any kind of expansions or acquisitions of other, networks? I know BevCom, which was in a community I served previously,
Yeah.
they periodically look at buying other networks, when different cities or different companies opt out of continuing to service. Is that something that, KM is looking at actively, or are you kind of looking at more organic growth?
We're kind of just focusing on our area first. We got to get that covered in fiber first. So, I mean, the next few years, that's all our goal is to just kind of cover our grounds first. But it's not out of the question. I wouldn't say we're actively looking, though, as of now.
Sure.
But, if the opportunity's there, we're not going to just completely wave it away. We'll probably look at it.
Okay. And then your relationship with the school, is there any kind of pipelining for the kids to learn? I know, at least, it seems to me like sometimes it's hard to recruit, especially for some of those maybe more basic level, you're talking about extending all this fiber, you have to have somebody out there who's gonna dig that fiber in.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you outsource that to a private company, I don't know, but,
Yeah.
it seems like finding those people to just do basic, excavation or some of the field work is really hard. Is there kind of a pipeline with the school where you can kind of say, hey, kids, come and intern or learn what we do, and they can kind of bring them on right away?
I think we've tried something in the past, like just small little things. There hasn't been a huge program for it, but
Okay.
that's been something that we've talked about internally for the last couple of years now.
Sure.
I don't know where it's at, but it is, it's a sad truth. Even just trying to get employees nowadays, I'm sure everyone's well aware, the workforce is kind of tough. But, but especially in that industry, I mean, we pretty much do outsource a lot of the actual construction work.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that we find is finding technicians to do the installs, the
Sure.
splicing, stuff like that. So a lot of times we just, we get people with construction backgrounds, people, mechanics, something like that, and they actually do great, but it's hard to actually find, someone who's done the splicing, who's done installs, because they don't have programs or schools for that, yeah. So a lot of that's just on-the-job training, and so far so good, but yeah, we have been, like I said, internally talking. It's just, I don't know if there's anything actively going on
right now.
So.
And then the other one, last one I had was, so I know that there was a big cancellation of a large amount of money that was given, I think LTD was gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
some big, so is that gonna affect you guys at all, or not really?
Not really. It was at a certain point, because it was the RDOF auction, I forget what it stands for, rural something, but yeah, they had, I think, like $3 billion awarded to them for basically broadband services, and part of that was in our service area, and so we just, from the get-go, we were like, everyone just said, no, that this is not happening. So luckily, if it would have happened, yes, we would have had, competition with LTD. Whether or not they would have actually built, that's a whole different ballgame. But now that it's been canceled, they're not getting $3 billion, they're pretty much no effect to on us.
So is that money gonna be reallocated, or is that kind of?
That, we don't know yet.
Okay.
Because that's separate than the Minnesota grant program, which we like to be involved with. We don't do as much with the federal stuff, just because you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get federal grant monies. So it's not a lot of fun, and we worked with Minnesota's for years now, so it's kind of just running through the motion. Yeah, not saying that we wouldn't, but yeah, as of now, no intention. So
Very cool.
When do you think you'll hear back on the state applications?
God, I mean, that's the golden question right there. They always, I think, last year they told us fall, and we didn't hear back till February. So, which puts us in a bad position because, we
Right,
have materials ordered and stuff. We're not gonna, especially with supply chain issues going on, I mean, that's a big thing in our industry right now. So we need to make sure we can order material as soon as possible, but we don't wanna order anything if we don't have the board. Because then, it's kind of SOL at that point, but, so, hopefully this fall, they kind of streamlined the process a little bit this year, at least as far as I'm aware. It's a lot more simplified, kind of just by the numbers, so hopefully it's quicker, but I guess we'll see. Knock on wood.
All right. Well, we have a certificate for you to take back and probably a photo op as well.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
You and Dan right in front of you, the seal here, but Dan, you'll be handing it to him, all right? This is it. We're gonna try and feature this we'll send it to the newspaper and see if we can get some good coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like a copy too, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And they told me there was a photo op.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's not on the ballot this fall. All right, yeah, you put your hand on one side, just kind of.
Oh, I see.
And then up and smile, thank you very much. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feedback, yep.
Thanks, John.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for coming.
Well, next, where are we at here? Downtown lots, offer.
Yes, so I've had quite a lot of interest from various people who are interested in those downtown lots. And luckily, we've received an offer to purchase from Jill Bondus, right? Yeah, Jill Bondus here, who would like to speak about her business and her interest with those downtown lots. The offer to purchase is also included in your packets, by the way.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Jill Bondus. I'm a resident of rural Manorville. I currently have a small business that I run out of my home, where I'm selling floral bouquets as well as upcycled items. So I take things that people don't want and repurpose them into something different. Currently today, I go to shows, so I do very successfully there. And if I had $1 for every time somebody said, "Do you have a shop?" we'd all be paying for the building I want to build. Anyway, so my hope and intention is to be able to open up a storefront that I would be able to have my shop and successfully run it out of.
Jill, you might have some questions, or?
No, absolutely.
What's your time frame, Jill?
I don't have a specific time frame. You know, I guess I have questions as far as like, you know, what would happen or where would we go from here? What does those type of things look like? Obviously, I would have to, my first step would be to work with a builder and get, you know, building plans built and those type of things, but I don't have any of that done at this point.
Because I think one thing that I know we've maybe looked at in the past as an EDA would be having some sort of criteria in a purchase agreement where we'd want there to be some kind of activity in a certain time period.
Sure.
Otherwise, the property would revert back, and, you know, financially, you get your money back. But what we don't want, at least I know I don't want, is for someone to buy it and sit on it.
Right.
You know, and that's sometimes we get people that come and say, "Oh, well, yeah, I'll put a building up on it," and then, you know, the fear is that, well, they're gonna sit on it and it won't be maintained and that sort of thing. And so, I mean, I think that would be something, just so you're aware, that we might include as part of a purchase agreement terminology, would be, hey, you know, within 18 months, we need to have X, Y, and Z done, or the property would revert. So, but I mean, I'm sure, it sounds like you're interested in moving, you know, in an expeditious way.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a concern for me.
Okay, awesome. And then if you have questions, and if anybody else does, please do.
Would you be looking at hiring any employees, or are you just gonna be just strictly you as of now?
It would be strictly me. I currently have a administrative Monday through Friday type job, so most likely it would actually be probably seasonal. So summertime, you know, mid-spring until late fall, that I would have, you know, weekends that I would be open.
Do you have any connection with, like, greenhouses? Would you do, like, classes? I know some
Yeah,
floral
so that-
shops kind of do that sort of thing.
Yeah, so classes, specifically, yeah, I could do floral arrangement classes. That's part of my plan, where I would have a larger area where I would have a place to hold classes, or items to make, you know, those type of things, yep. So that is part of my business plan, yeah.
Given that there's 2 lots, I know it's early on, and you're planning building across both lots?
That
Would be your
correct.
intent, yeah?
Yes, yep.
Pretty narrow lots.
Yeah.
Narrow but long.
But long, right.
Yep.
Right.
Gotta get them invited into the door.
Mhm.
It's true.
Do you have any, like, sketches or thoughts of kind of like what you'd like it to look like?
You know, in my mind, currently, I envision it sitting back a little bit so that there's enough space in the front where I could have, you know, like, I don't know, it's mum season, right? So I could have a bunch of mum plants out for sale or other
Display kind of,
outdoor
yeah.
type display. And then from there, it would be building. It would be pretty wide open, because I want the classroom space, and then I want to be able to manipulate the space. So like I could do things to hang from the wall or ceiling to carve out an area, you know, if I want this to be household items over here or whatever. And then in the back, I would have potentially some kind of greenhouse type space, a smaller, not something very large, but something connected. I envision having large garage doors with screens on them so that it can be open and air, you know, would flow through that area, but that's kind of the preliminary thought in my mind. Nothing on paper as of yet.
Most likely a one-level structure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
potentially with a basement, because I would need
Oh.
some storage, yeah. And then so that's one of my questions, do we know, is there anything there that I have to be concerned about for me to go down versus up?
I don't know if we've ever done soil borings on
No,
that.
not to my knowledge.
You know, is there an old building buried there?
There was a building.
Yeah, so,
I'm not sure, I remember it coming down, yeah.
In the basement, there was like a crawl space like we have.
That's definitely something we'll do some checking into, and Ian can follow up on that, looking at the records. You know, I would imagine when they they tore it down, either they filled it in, they would have had to do something with the drainage, they probably punctured the walls, so, but that'd be something we'd have to take a look at for sure before, now, knowing that you're interested in a basement, you know, if it was slab on grade, I don't think it'd be an issue, but if there's a need for a basement or some storage, we can definitely do a little bit more checking.
and I'm not opposed to having a second story versus a basement, if that's what, you know, the lot has to offer. Yeah, I'm flexible.
Have you looked at any costs at all for building?
So I
Or
looked
the
at,
type of building,
Yeah,
like
so-
metal versus?
yeah, I looked at a metal building to put on our property, with what I would wanna do, and it came up to about $185,000. That was with a restroom. I had extra expenses because of connecting it to my septic system and stuff like that, but.
You'll have great, you know, fiber connection right here in town.
Yeah, so some of those expenses that were included in that price would not be there because they're, you know, it's a different project, but, yeah. I would envision that it would be $165,000 to $200,000 to put a building on that property.
The only other thing I can think of would be, because there's zero setbacks, so you'd be able to build kind of up to the edges, is we might ask that we take a look at the facade and maybe have a little bit more improved
You're
facade.
gonna have a fire code that you're
Yeah.
gonna have to deal with on the
And just the
side.
facade in the front, we might wanna have it somewhat improved, as opposed to just like a flat metal facade. So kind of some of the facades you see on Main Street where they have a little bit of a stone or something like that.
Mhm.
Not that the building would necessarily be an issue, but just so that it matches into the Main Street kind of idea, the concept, you know. You know, Chris has got a building, actually, we've got a couple folks that have got buildings on Main Street, and they all kind of have those nice facades, so.
Yep.
Oh, I would recommend that just move forward, just have Jill work with staff on fleshing out the details and bring it back to us, but I can't see any reason why council would be against this, or we've been looking for somebody for
Ever.
15 years since that's come down, and I watched them tear that down at least probably 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm 100% for that, and it's more activity downtown. That would be several retail places right there across the street from each other, and the movie theater, the clock shop, the new country store, the variety store, the I mean, there'd be more activity in that block, which would be beneficial for you and everybody else. So, as the EDA, I would recommend that we have staff take over.
Yeah, I'd second.
So you want a motion to enter
I'll make a
preliminary
motion to-
negotiations to approve this?
Correct.
Okay.
Enter that motion, or I'll make that motion to enter the preliminary negotiations on this. Yep.
Yep, yeah, I'd second, yeah, I think, yeah, just moving forward on actually, you know, yeah, figuring out whatever needs to go into a purchase agreement, like timeline stuff, but.
And work together to
Make it work, yeah.
to work for both parties, yeah. So we're just looking for somebody to develop it.
I think, yeah, I think
That would
it,
be great.
I think it sounds like a great fit for, you know, I'm thinking of it from what we want on Main Street, and what we've talked about for priorities. I mean, it sounds like a great match. I know as, you know, I'm, you know, also on the Casson Chamber of Commerce, and, you know, it sounds like a, you know, great kind of thing to, you know, that I think a lot of Main Street businesses would really welcome and be excited about. You know, I think, like you talk about floral arrangements, and, you know, you'd be right about across the street
From
from Dibble,
Dibble's, yeah.
Dibble Funeral Home, right? Like, that's a good.
And I have my LLC, I have my tax ID, I have all of those other pieces that I'm already in place. So it's just really taking it from my home out into the public where I would have potential other exposure, so.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll move into the next phase with Jill, and I'll have Ian draft some documents for her, and we can review those, and then we'll also check up on that excavation, if there's gonna be any issues with drainage or any problems with that, and he can check in the files on that. and then, we'll plan on bringing back that final, agreement to you in next month.
Because Charlie might know too out there.
Yeah, we'll check with staff, and we'll check, there should be some records when they actually did the excavation of, I'm not sure who did it, but we'll find out, so.
I think Swanky did it, so there'd be a billing permit for it.
Yeah.
But I think Swanky did it, and if Swanky did it, I can call and see who the person who actually did the excavation was, so we can ask them.
Yeah.
Figure out what they did.
Some people you were
So
talking about.
we have a better idea.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is our crop science investigation revolving loan fund request.
Yes, so, as I mentioned before, we got a document from Marty Walsh at People's Electric Co-op, just verifying that, they had given a $300,000 loan to crop science investigation, and then the interest rate and the time period is also there. I've also included in the packets a resolution to authorize our RLF loan. Let's see.
Perfect. That's what we asked them to do.
That's what we asked for, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the $25,000 loan to the crop sciences investigation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Just one item, just to note, I think what we'll end up doing is probably matching interest rate. We'll do the 4.75 also, the same that Peoples did, just to make it cleaner for them, so.
Perfect. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Next, we got an update on the Quick Trip North.
Yes, so Quick Trip has submitted some applications to the Planning Commission to build a second Quick Trip location here in town. It's gonna go across the street from the high school. Let's see. Says they're estimating to add 20 to 25 jobs to the community, and they intend to be open 24 hours a day with a car wash and everything, so pretty exciting.
Do we have any, this is kind of a loaded question, but do we have any confirmation from Excel that they're gonna be moving poles this fall so we can do that construction in the spring?
The poles are scheduled for this fall,
Okay.
for October, to start moving the 6 poles, so.
Okay, that's the only question I have.
Sure.
Any other questions anyone has on this? So this is a long-term project. We've been working on this for the last 2 years, basically, and a lot of different pieces there. Obviously, with the roundabout, it's, MnDOT has not been very fast to act on our roundabout plan and improving that, but, you know, as Ian mentioned, you know, Planning and Zoning will be looking at this next week, and then council will have it on the 14th. So, we do think it's gonna be a really good add to the community, and hopefully with the extension of 16th Street to the west there, that'll provide a new, you know, kind of commercial corridor for things, so. It also will be part of an effort that Ian will be making this fall to really try to contact some other restaurant opportunities and see if there's some interest in some of these other areas developing along 57, so.
That was gonna be a comment I had. I'm looking at the schematic here. There's no roundabout there. That doesn't change any of the parameters of what they're doing, or...
They know what's going in there.
Yeah, they actually, I don't know if they have it on this map, maybe they don't, but they have a mock-up of what it's gonna look like. So for the P&Z packet, it shows that roundabout in there. And Quick Trip is gonna be funding an access off of 57 North there. It's gonna be coming in. It's in and out, but not both. So you won't be able to turn left out of their north access onto 57. You'll be able to turn left into it, but then you won't be able to go out of so you'll be able to come in and then out, but you won't be able to turn to the left. And then they'll have that south onto 16th Street. We did talk to them about doing a backage road kind of on the back side of the building, but at this time, they're not interested in that. And this building itself won't require that. So, they're doing some ponding on that east side. You kind of see that on their little map there too, so. All told, I think it's gonna be a nice ad. It really is, I'm sure it'll be quite popular with the residents on the north side of town.
I'd say yes to that.
Yes.
And the high school.
And the high school.
Get my coffee on the way to work instead of driving
Well,
all the way past
all
work.
across, yes.
Do they help, cover some of that cost on the 16th Street northeast going through there?
They will be covering, so we did do an assessment for Mr. Schutte to the south side, and Quick Trip also has a very similar assessment with the frontage that they'll have. So, yeah, that'll be part of their agreement, which Ian's got a copy of, and they haven't had any, you know, questions on it as far as I know, in terms of, it's something, cost of doing business for them, so.
Yeah, I think the only thing is just, a question I'd have is if you just, when it gets closer, I think the chamber obviously would wanna do a ribbon cutting for them too, so.
Absolutely.
Great deal.
So has all this been zoned commercial out there then? All of it?
What's that?
Has this all been zoned commercial?
The lot they're on is zoned properly for that business. The lots to the north there, you'll, you've got Cunningham and you've got two houses, and it's Foot and Tune. Those are both zoned residential still. So those properties are.
So are you planning though on making it? I mean, it's kind of hard to have spot residential and commercial.
Well, they're already there now.
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing
If
is.
they were to sell,
So this property itself was kind of spot zone when it was originally set up. I don't know when Mr. Cunningham started his business there.
Long time ago.
how long?
They've chosen to not spot zone by changing those other two properties. You know, it'd be spot zoning to change those to commercial. However, I mean, at some point in time, if those were to turn over, I think we would definitely take a look at that, and I know planning and zoning would look at that.
So if those two properties did want to sell, that's why I'm asking that question, and you have that all commercial, then they can't sell them as residential.
Right, and that's why they've been left as residential for right now.
But if they want to sell,
So they could still technically right now sell as residential is what we're doing.
But I think if I'm just putting myself in their shoes, I would wanna sell it as commercial, because there'd be way more value, because not a lot of people are gonna wanna live right next to the Quick Trip.
but it makes a difference as far as listing
Sure.
property as
So I don't know if at that time that they wanted to sell, they could.
I mean, they'd have to request a rezone, we'd have a
We could
public
do
it. We'd have to
hearing
do
for
it then.
rezoning
Yeah.
if someone wanted to take their property into commercial. Absolutely, that's what we would do at this time, but we're not forcing them to do that at this time, because it is still
Okay.
residential.
They have the
I know at least the
So you
northernmost.
change the whole area, you grandfather them.
Yes, so I know the house on the north side, that is, I don't think I know the one right next to where the Quick Trip site is kind of running a business out of the back of their home too, they have
Yep.
trucking. I don't think the one on the north side is doing anything like that right now, so I can see where they would want to stay commercial, or stay residential, but, you know, part of it is also, what is the development to the north gonna be? You know, right now, we don't know, you know, Mr. Schudy's bought that parcel as well to the north, of these folks, and whether he's looking at commercial for that or residential, I don't really know what his plan is there.
That's not in city limits, is it, to the north, so?
Not yet.
How
It is,
close
yeah, it's in city
that
limits.
new thing that's going in, that the county's putting in?
So the new park would be just to the west of this, behind Quick Trip and behind those two houses. So it'd be on that site, so they got that buffer strip, that's just, I think, 20 acres or something like that, and then they have the transfer station. And they're taking part of the land from the transfer station and the buffer strip and making that into a new, like a 40-acre community park, or county park is what it's gonna be, so anyway. But good question. Just wanted to give you guys an update on that, so.
Perfect. Nope, there's Albert Ian to attend a Connecting Entrepreneur Communities Conference. That's a lot.
Yeah, so I've got a conference that I'll be going to later this week, Thursday and Friday. It's up in Red Wing, and it's through the U of M Extension. But there's going to be 4 different breakout sessions that I can go to. I haven't fully decided which ones, but I'm sure that they'll all be valuable information, no matter which I choose. One of them in particular is about, it's called Mapping the Entrepreneurial Journey Restaurant and Retail. So I should be able to learn some good information there about restaurants and how to get them into our city. So I'll be sure to report back on all of that after I get back. Any questions?
Oh, have fun. Look forward to hearing your report.
Yes.
Wow, looks like a busy time.
All right.
Okay, then after that, we have other business we might have missed.
Well, so one item that Tom was just talking about, it sounds like the chamber is looking at merging the role of the chamber president and their liaison into one, which would give us a vacancy on the board.
Right.
So something to be keeping in mind is if that's something that they do officially, when do you think that would be, Tom?
I think 'cause it's not in our bylaws, and I think we took a vote on that right after we had that conversation, so, and, then nobody else was screaming to be on the EDA, so, I think we officially did it.
Okay, so then we would have a vacancy. So we would declare a vacancy as the EDA board, and then we'll publicize that there's a vacancy on the EDA board and try to see if we can't get somebody else interested. Just knowing that sometimes people's schedules, I mean, obviously, we've got 5 today, we have quorum, but we want to give ourselves a little bit of flexibility, so. And then I don't know, we'll have to take a look at whose terms are where they're at the end of the year here, but,
I was just looking at that, so I've got several people who talked or expressed interest in some time in the last year or two. So I've got a list of some folk, I don't have it here with me, but on the vacancies for
Sure.
P and Z, EDA, and all the stuff that come at the end of the year. So I'll bring that to the next meeting, and I'll have a conversation with those people that expressed interest and see if any of them are willing to actually follow through with it, so.
Got volunteers?
perfect.
What's that?
You have volunteers?
Well, they say they will do it until you actually go ask them a lot of times. So
Yes.
I'll have the conversation now and say, hey, it's for real.
Are you?
When it was full, it was easy to say, oh, I'd do that if there was an opening, but now there's an opening. Are you willing to actually do it? So I'll report back on that next time and recommendations.
Awesome. Otherwise, no, just some exciting stuff going on, so we're really happy to see some of these things coming, and there was a nice feature on the business across the street from us here recently in the local news, too. The Post Bulletin had a nice article on the horse feed business there, and really kind of a cool thing to see what they're doing over there as well, so. And that's all I've got, but if you've got anything else, let Ian know, and he's going to be glad to add to the agenda for next month.
Next month, perfect.
One thing I was going to say, did you ever get an answer back from the folks over at the apartment complex for doing a groundbreaking, ribbon cutting kind of a thing? Because that'd be nice to get some publicity too.
I just know they wanna do it.
Okay, because I know they're going at it. I mean,
Yeah, they've
they're
got-
on it. The
they're really
foundation
going
is
at
getting
it.
poured and everything, so.
Ground is broken, but I think
Orange
they'd
cement.
still I'm sure they'd
We
still.
could throw some golden shovels out there, just no
That-
problem, I'm sure.
Great, yeah.
Do you have some golden shovels?
I don't,
They sell spray paint.
I was gonna say, some regular shovels and some spray paint will do you
Yeah,
just
there you
fine.
go.
Those golden shovels are spendy.
And a lot of the contractors will have some of those.
Have
that
their
are
I'm guessing
located.
Mo's might even have some of them
Right.
too, we could get a hold of them. Or they might have some themselves. but
Contractors may have that.
Yeah, I just,
Hamilton
Developer, he probably has them, he's done enough buildings, you know.
Right.
right, so, yeah, I mean, but no, if we wanna do one, I can, ask them about a time frame
Okay.
on it.
I just think it'd be good, I mean, you know,
I
let's
agree.
get as much tread out of this. I mean, the city, part of the project is scheduled to start here in about a month and a half. Their Schumacher out of Zumbrota has actually canceled their big, project over in Zumbrota, and they can get away with that in Zumbrota because they're from Zumbrota, so they moved their big project there back to next year, and the city's gonna let them do it because they're based out of Zumbrota. But that means they have a nice slot, so we'll actually get started a little bit earlier on our street
for our
construction,
stuff.
which is good, because otherwise, you know, it's tough for them to find all the sewer pipe and everything right now, but, and then just one other thing to let you know is that the project on 57 is moving forward steadily. They actually are right on schedule right now to be finished by the end of the cycle. I think October 29th is the date I've heard for hopefully, they may not have it all poured, but they'd like to have everything closed up pretty much by then, so.
The
You
news,
see they've got a lot of the fixtures already moved in the north half of that section, so it's coming right along, so.
the newsletter from the school says they wanna start letting people go down on November 2nd, according to the school.
Yeah, so I mean, so I said, hopefully they'll have it all paved and battened down, and we do have the Safe Routes to School project also, that's gonna be going, that's supposed to be on the 7th, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's Rochester Sand and Gravel, if they wanna get it done quick, they can do it quick,
Yes.
so.
This morning, there was a stream of cars from 7th Street all the way to 16th Street.
Yeah.
And KPD was out there directing traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, you know, we're gonna have to just be,
Welcome back,
you know,
students.
patient for it,
Oh,
these
yeah.
first couple of weeks here to get everything figured out, and, you know, I don't know, the Safe Routes to School, I wish they would've gotten it done this summer,
Yes.
but, you know, it's gonna be what it is, and, you know, it's just,
How's that gonna play with this weekend?
I don't think it'll affect this weekend at all, but this weekend will be kind of a mess. You know, Friday will probably be a little bit of a mess, but hopefully the trucks, I mean, the trucks have the route they've been told to come in on, so they're well aware they're coming in off of 15th onto 16th Street, and they're coming down. So it really, you know, hopefully they'll wait until after school starts and then give it a break for an hour in the afternoon, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
They still gonna have a parade through town?
Yeah, the parade's gonna head out, it's gonna head out 16th up to Manorville on the highway and then come back down, kind of a big
So
circle.
basically the same as they've done.
They've had really good communication with the participants for the last 2 or 3 months on that
At least.
construction and where to come in from, and they've been
Yep.
told several
Been
times that,
posted pretty,
yeah. Not that everybody will read it, but.
all right, well, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.